rhythm of glass and the music we listen to, it all works together so that I find my channel to create. So through that channel, I work with color, and I work with heat, and I work with fire, and I'm able to put all these things together and create beautiful things.
Oh yeah, I got more fire for you, sir.
My name is Gail Allard. I'm a glass artist in Salado, Texas. You know, I was the kid drawing on the walls with the crayons and dismantling the phones and trying to put things back together in a different way. Glass has its own rhythm. We're working with it to create and make it do what we want it to do. But yes, it has its own music. All right, thank you, sir. The physical, demand of being in the environment of heat. You have to have strength. You have to have, absolute focus while you're working with the material. I'm able to harness the material and also listen to the material. And both together, there's this dance that happens. And together we create something beautiful. The art side, with glass is the color. And with glass, a lot of those things are kind of combined. You have transparent colors, you have opaque colors. And being able to understand how to create with different types of colors, that's where the art comes in. When I'm working with the color, I have to know exactly how these colors react with each other. So it's almost like an oil painter or a watercolor painter. So blending these colors, we don't just jump into it. We have to know. My favorite color right here, opal aqua, basically works with just about any of these colors except red. So we've got to know when we're adding what works good with the other colors. Throughout the infinite amount of times that I can start something new, everything will be different. So I go into it knowing what I'm making is going to be different from anything else that I've ever done before. But yes, I have an idea. I have an idea, and it takes on its own shape, and I'm just driving it to the end. I'm thankful when I walk into my studio every day. When I leave, it's the same. This carries me and my artistic passion. Everything about me is in this artwork. And it's 100%. Being able to create something out of a material that you can't physically touch, but myself having that ability to create out of it, and where we allow people to watch, they understand when they come into the gallery and they see my work, that they get to take something from my heart and my soul, and I get to share that with them. That's what they're coming for. They want that connection. I create connection through fire.
Both of my grandmothers painted. One of them stopped when she got married. The other one started when she retired. Welcome to the Uniquely Salado Gallery, and I'm working on my most recent painting with my palette knife. I'm Helen Alexander, a retired mental health counselor, retired 20 years ago. I like to do landscapes and still lifes because my grandmother, I saw that she was focused and interested and wanted to let people know what she experienced. Like, she came home from Hawaii and painted her own version of the island. I learned in working with children particularly that art was a wonderful tool because they couldn't express themselves verbally. I don't think you need formal education, but you have to continue to educate yourself if you want to try new things and explore. So I started this painting some time ago, and now I'm doing what I always feel like is the part that I love the best, and that's adding some detail. I'm using a palette knife because it gives me a lot of freedom of movement. I can't be too uptight when I'm using a palette knife, and just letting it do its work. No, I'm always thrilled when someone finds one of my paintings that touches them or causes them to want to take it home with them. I've never worked toward making a living with my art. I don't do any kind of prints or anything. A lot of artists do prints to sell it, because they're less expensive, so people can afford them. Yes, I'm validated. When someone purchases one of my pieces, I feel every time, I feel validated. Yes, I am an artist. It took me a while, it took me several years to introduce myself as an artist, after I started. It's like a place where you can go and George O'Keeffe said, I love art because nobody can tell me what to do, or whether it's good or bad, it's mine. I think people don't keep themselves in the moment, don't keep themselves aware of what's going on around them, and I think art can do that, cause you to stop and look and smell the roses, so to speak. Yeah. Well, I've been in a lot of different places in my life, and I think that you can grow or you can stagnate. And art for me has certainly been growth. I was widowed at 59, and when I came to Salado, I moved to Salado by myself, and meeting other artists and discovering that I had a talent that I could share with other people, it continues to grow. I continue to grow that way.
I got very lucky when I was 21 years old. I was working sort of part-time. This gentleman walks in one day, and I had one of my paintings hanging up behind our desk, and he wanted to know who did that. It was just an incredible experience. He said, I would love to represent you. By my elementary school teacher from 1st through 6th grade. And when I was 10 years old, he entered one of my art pieces into an art competition. It was a Donald Duck and Pluto in a little red car. And I ended up winning 2nd place. Believe it or not, I still have that painting today. He gave it to me as a wedding gift when I was 21 years old. He saved it for 11 years, saying that he thought someday I might be somebody. And my name is Larry Prellop. I am an artist and gallery owner. My dad was like, that's crazy. Nobody is going to buy your art. I mean, he was old school, so they just couldn't believe that somebody actually wanted to buy my work. My mother was very proud of my work, but I think my dad thought I really needed to get out and get a real job. I proved him wrong. He passed away before I actually opened this gallery. I think later on in life he realized that I was happy doing what I was doing, and I did make a fairly good income, so he was okay with it later on in life. So I really painted to sell, if that makes sense, versus painting for pleasure. It was just like a job. Because I'm here to make a living at it, it's a pleasure to have a person walk in and say, I love that piece that you just did. Nothing makes you feel better than to know that somebody else appreciates your work. I only really have 2 paintings of my own in my house. I collect other people's art, but I have one seascape and I have one landscape. I've tried doing other things, I've tried other techniques, but traditional realism is always going to be sellable. You've seen trends come and you've seen trends go, and I have over the 53 years that I've been painting. You see the public gravitate to abstract, you see the public gravitate to maybe, oh gosh, now we've got all kinds of things with the computer-generated art, or the NTFs, I believe is what they're called. But the traditional landscape there'll always be a market for that. So that's why I've always stayed with one thing and tried to perfect it as best I can. And then I like to soften them out again. Once I get the color on there, then I will soften them out. See how that illuminates those little clouds. I love selling other people's work just as much as I do my own. I love to take somebody who has some potential that I can see and turn them into a very sellable artist for the future. And that's what I enjoy doing so much. So when people come in, a lot of times I will walk them through the gallery, asking them what they're looking for. Sometimes they just want to take it all in and experience the art. Maybe they're an artist. Maybe they're bringing their kids in to enjoy looking at art. And that's something that I encourage. So many parents go like, you don't belong in there, come out. You know, I'll see them walk up to the door and they'll pull their kids back. Let them come in and experience that. I didn't have that opportunity when I was a kid, but I think the kids today, the children ought to be able to come in.
Whenever I'm painting, there always comes a time when I want to step back and look at it and get a feel for it and decide whether or not it's complete or whether or not I need to do more with it. I'm Kay Griffith, and I'm an abstract expressionist artist. I grew up on a working farm. So I spent many hours outdoors with animals, with the big sky, always pursuing truth and the quest for excellence with everything, but I always questioned everything. I see all of art as a reflection of reality of some kind, always moving toward the abstract expressionism. The expressionism that I do is really a moment in time that painting the convergence of the experience, minus the objects. And most of my paintings are not named because out of respect to the individual viewer. When I finish my painting, I am complete with my experience with it, and then it's not about me. I am superfluous to the experience that the viewer has with the art. So I want my viewers and my collectors to be totally free to have whatever experience they have with the art in any direction. When somebody purchases it, then it's theirs to take and to themselves to their home or their office and to enjoy or to invest in it, whatever. I am blessed and I feel greatly honored when someone uses their hard-earned money to purchase one of my paintings to take and live with it. I have to understand color well enough that I can focus on what I'm conveying with the paint and in the paint and not on what I'm having to do technically. I don't have to think about what my hands are doing or what the colors are going to mix to become. It just flows. This requires 100% focus and concentration and allowing the emotional experience to come through me onto the canvas. I don't have a degree in art, and so the first time I submitted to an international show, I was clueless as to whether or not my work would be accepted. Everybody else had incredible credentials, and I was using a Texas analogy. I was the deer in the headlights, and it took me a few years to really be able to articulate what I do. Art is a
common language among all human beings. While each person is unique, I think that all human beings have a full set of emotions and certain basic needs. It is very clear to me that visual art can be a common language that touches people in a way that sometimes they don't even understand. It touches something inside them in a way that is indescribable with words that they relate to. I have literally observed people break into tears in front of a painting. I am grateful that my art has an impact, but it's very humbling. And it would be my sincerest hope that ultimately, regardless of where it winds up, that it has a positive impact, whether or not that is to spur conversation about something, about who they are or what they're thinking or what their life is about, but that a conversation either within themselves or with someone else.
We're going to a historic building that is referred to as the Old Salado Saloon. And it got that name because a man years ago wanted to open up a saloon in this little building. And he did. He had it all set up to go. And word got out to the ladies at the church that a saloon was going to be opening up. So they brought chairs and sat in front of the saloon and boycotted it all day long. No one crossed the boycott line. The man became very frustrated. He packed up everything that night and left town. Ladies were successful. Where we're going now is the Norton Orgain house. And in this house lived Alma Orgain, and she was a teacher at Salado College and at Thomas Arnold High School. She taught art, music, and was a writer. She wrote a book, and it was called Away from Texas. And in writing this book, some of the stories are about Salado.
The log cabin was built in 1850. It's a good example of how our early Texas pioneers lived on the frontier at that time. We'll go in and take a look. This is a two-room log cabin. This is the main room of the log cabin. And in here we have an early diploma from the Salado College. And in this display case, we have some of the artifacts that came from under this building when it was taken apart. This log cabin was found within a house, and it was dismantled stone by stone, log by log, and put aside for 4 years until the Historical Society had the resources to reconstruct it. It was reconstructed on school property at this location, based on the artifacts that we see in the cabinet, the little marbles, the keys, some of the pottery. We assume that the other room of this log cabin was a schoolhouse. Let's go in that room and see what we have. This is set up like an early classroom would be for young children, elementary age students. Nothing in here is original to the building, but a collection of old books and other artifacts were found to put in here to make it look like it probably was in the early pioneer days.
Next place we're going is what we refer to as College Hill. Salado College was originally formed in 1859 by a group of concerned citizens who wanted to educate their children. Farmers or ranchers received large acres of land to settle on. But the thing was, they weren't that interested in coming here because There were no schools for their children.
Salado College was founded in 1859. Its importance was it provided education for the pioneers coming to this part of Texas. That was the one thing that was lacking in a lot of pioneers' lives. It attracted a lot of people to this area, Salado, because of this college.